All right, so this is my walkthrough for today's Sudoku. This is the medium, and I'll be walking you through every step of the way. So first we're looking at the ones and seeing where they intersect. Here this blocks off this, and this. Leaves us with 3. It doesn't point to anything, so I'm not going to mark it yet. Here, blocks these 2, blocks that one, so another 3. Not seeing anything right away, so we move on to the 2s. This blocks off these 3. This one blocks off this one. Leaves this one as a 2, and this one as a 2. That's a nice pair that we can probably use later. And then moving up here, same these 3 right here, but it's not really worth marking. Let's move on to the 3s. Here we have a 3 and a 3. That points that way, but if we ever get anything that points here or here, we can mark these off really easily. Right. So here we have 3s. There's a line, which I like to put down just because it helps me think about it. Now we move on to another set of 3s. This is 3. As soon as we get one of these 3 marked, or another 3 somewhere else, then we'll know that it's either in the top row or it's this bottom one. Alright, this blocks off these, this blocks off these, which leaves us with a 4 and a 4. Blocked off by this, so this is a 4 or 4. This one blocks off all 3 of these top ones, which means it's these 2, and it helps because they point. They block off these 3, these 3. You have 3 spots, but you don't know enough to quite put anything down yet. Same thing with this, these 4 are open. So let's move on to the 5s, unless I'm missing something. Okay. And then here in the 5s, there's a 5 or there's a 5 pointing up. This one's already full. Go like this. 5, 5, 5. Moving up. This one blocks off these 3. This one blocks off this one, which leaves this and this. Moving down, we don't have anything that points to these just yet, but we will move on to the 6s. 6s again. And now that these 2 are blocked off, we have the remaining 3 numbers that are guaranteed in this top row, which means they can't be in any of these 3 spots. Which leaves us with a 2 and a 2. 3, 4 is covered. 5 we know is up here. Means that this one can no longer be 5, which forces it to be a 5. And then come over here. This blocks these 3. This one blocks these 2. That's a 5. That's a 5. And the remaining number is 7, which we don't have any information on just yet. Those are 7s. Okay, and then more 6s. Guess that's about all that we know so far about the 6s, unless I'm missing something. 7s. So we know that it's not this one. We know it's not these ones. That makes another nice line for us. But there's not a whole lot of information out there, so we'll move on to the 8s. These 2 block off these 2 sections, and this one blocks off this one, so that makes another set of 2. This one blocks off these 2, and this one blocks off this one. Leaves it with an 8 and an 8. 8 and 8 here. Block off these 2. This one blocks off this one. This one has to be an 8. Eliminates that one. Forces that one to be an 8 as well. Boom, boom. Then we have these 2 doing this, and this one blocking this. So it means that the candidate is there or there. 8 blocks out these two, blocks out these two, leaves us with 3. Not quite enough to keep, in my opinion. Okay, so we have a 9, a 9, and a 9, and this one has to be either a 5 and 8 before I put this 9 there. But because the 5, because the 5 has 3 spots and the 8 only has 2, it doesn't quite block it off yet. All 3 of these are possibly 9s. 9, 9, pretty easy find there. It's another 9. 9 goes up, leaves 3 spots, blocks these two are blocked off. 9 and 9. And we can go this way. It blocks off these two. So these two, since it has to be one of the, since it has to be one of these 2 spots, this blocks off these 2. This one blocks off this one, which forces this one to be a 9, which means that the only spot left for a 5 is right there, which also blocks off this one. Make sure we clear that 5 so we don't get confused later. 5 blocks off these 2, 5 blocks off these 2, 5 blocks off this one, forces this one to be a, oh. Well, you can't get them all right. 5 and 5. So if we ever fill in this one or this one as not a 5, that will force this one or the other one that has the middle option to be a 5 in the middle, because this one's on the outside. Same thing with if you were to fill this one in, it would force that one. If you were to fill this one in, it would force that one. Or if you fill this one in, that one, this one, that one. Let's see, what number were we on? Alright, so something that I see just now looking at this is that since this whole box is filled up, we know that there needs to be a 1 in this line here. Can't be there, so it has to be here. Then we can go up this one. These 2 block the outer side, this one blocks the bottom, forcing that one to be a 1, forcing that one to be a 9, forcing this one to be a 4, and forcing this one to be a 3. Okay, and then we'll go here, 1, 1, blocks that one, 1, 5, which then removes the 5 possibility from both of these boxes. Going back to the 1s now, that one blocks this side, that one blocks this side, this one blocks here, forces that one to be a 1. These 2 block the bottom 2, this one blocks this one, that's a 1. Same thing over here, these 2 block these 2. This one blocks the bottom, forces this one to be a 1. Now the 1s are all done. So I'm seeing this line right here is mostly complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have a 6. And then 7. We don't have a 7. Nothing here tells us necessarily that either of these can't be that. But what it does tell us is that this box right here has to be a 6 and 7, because those are the only 2 options left. 2, 5, 7, we have 1 spot here. So whatever is not one of these 3, which is a 3, has to be there. We have to fill out that line. There's already a 3 in this box. Plus this line is already determined. 3 goes up, 3 goes down. Gets a 3 here and a 3 here. This line right here, if you see, we know that it needs a 2, a 3, a 7, and a 6. 2s can only be here or here. 3s can only be here or here. But this is the only 2 option in this line, because this one blocks out this one, and there's already a 2 in this box. That forces this to be a 2, which forces this to be a 3. That then blocks out this one, We can remove that one because that's been solved for. 1, so these are either a 2 or a 2. That would have also pointed us eliminating that other 2 if I would have done that first. 3, 4, 5 makes 6 and 6 because that's the only other option. So here we have 2, 6, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so looking just at finishing this line, we need a 4, which can't be here because of this one. 6 can't be in this box, so it has to be one of these two. And then 2 can be any of them. And this is where it kind of gets complicated with because I'm no longer just marking in the box, I'm now marking across this line. It's kind of hard to keep track of that if you're not fully used to it. But here we have 1 spot left in this line, so we know that we can guarantee it. 2, 3, 4, 5 makes it a 6. And then coming across here, this doesn't really show us much new. I guess it does. So this blocks out this, and this one blocks out this, these two. But forces this, that creates a line that points this way. So 6 blocks out these two block out these 3, and these 2 right here block out this one, which forces this one to be a 6. Then going all the way up to the top, we now know that this is a 6 or this is a 6 because this blocks out that, and these 2 block out this one. All right, and now let's see what's a good line. This one seems pretty good. This one has 3 missing spaces. They're all in different boxes, which is not ideal, but it still works. The best case scenario is having 2 completed lines in a box in a line that already has 6 filled, because then you know what these 3 are, like how we did in this situation. So this is what we like to see, but you can't usually control for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is what we need. This can't be a 4 because of these 2. This can't be a 4, so we know that this is a 4. We can move that. 5, 6, 7. 7 is blocked there and there, so these 2 are possible 7s. They are also what, 9s? Which tells us what this is then. This is a 7 or a 9, but it can't be a 9. Then it must be a 7. Forces this to be a 9. Forces this to be a 7. We come across here, 7 and 7 because this line's already completed. That blocks out these 3. Can remove this 7. Yeah, and I almost got confused because like, oh, this is the only 7 possible in this box, which is not true. I think any of these can be 7s, but that's because this is a numbering for this line, not just for the square. That's why it's important to keep track of that. So this, I just noticed that this has only 2 spaces. There's a 4 here, so this cannot be a 4, which I think leaves our only option here. Yep. So that forces a 4. Now the only option here is a 6, because none of these can be 6s. Forces this one to be a 2. And that forces this one to be a 6. Let's see the 4s. This one blocks out this one, blocks out these 2, which leaves you with a 4 and a 4. 4 blocks out here. So this one's blocked by this one, so this one has to be a 4. And this is kind of where it starts snowballing, because now that's the only thing that can be a 9, this is the only thing that can be an 8, this is the only thing that can be a 3, this is the only thing that can be a 5. Because I have already blocked them out in pairs of 2, so once the other one gets eliminated, it's the only option that remains. Okay, what was I? 9. 9 goes there. 9s are done. 1, 2, 3, and 3. Because nothing here blocks them out necessarily. Let's see, what do we know? This blocks out that, that blocks out that. So this is also a 3 and 3. This has to be a 7. Should have got that earlier. So now this has to be something because these two are already blocked out. Means a 2, which means a 7, which means a 2. And then coming up top, let's see. We still have this split down the middle. 5s, 5s, 7s. This one can't be a 6. Can this be a 6? It can. What do we know about the 6s here? Not much. Okay, 2 and 5. This one can't be a 5, which means it has to be a 2. One has to be a 5. It means this one is a 7. This one's a 2. 2 coming up here. These two are blocked out by these two. This one's blocked out by this one. Forces a 2. 8. One's either a 7 or a 6. I don't think we have anything that tells us either way. So yeah, this is kind of the thing that happens with these pairs. They kind of end up locking. You kind of get common things across the board, just because if something is locked, you need something else to move it, and it's like, oh well, now we need something else to answer these spaces. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. That's nice. 4, 5, 6, 7 or 7. Now this isn't super fun. I was hoping that the 7 spot would either match one of these two patterns, because then if it was this and this, which I mean I suppose now thinking about it was never possible, but the 7 and 7, if this matched these two, then you know it would be that neither of them could be in this line, which would force this one to be in that line. But let's go down to this. This one can't be a 4. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're missing an 8. 8 is blocked out there. 8 is also blocked out there, which forces it to be there. Okay. This forces this one to be a 7. Forces this one to be a 4. Forces this one to be a 6. Forces this one to be a 7. 6, 3, 6, 3. Oops, what did I do? I don't know. I don't remember which one I just did. Shit. That one probably. 6, 7, and 4. And that's how it's done.